Hey everyone, I'm Sierra Smith back here, and today we are going to be talking about time management and how she handles that since she has so much things going on, like side hustles. If you follow her on social media, she's talking about all these extra things she's doing right now. But welcome back, Sierra.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to dig into time management and hopefully get some good suggestions in the comments because I'm not sure that I'm any sort of expert on the best systems here.
Well, it seems like you're doing a lot of things right now. So I was very interested to see how you're managing all of this, being a wife, a mother, having like multiple income streams and everything that you're doing. And I saw you post something recently. So I was super curious on how you're kind of handling everything.
Yeah, so I am out to develop those multiple income streams. And I think the first step in kind of managing all of that is to have that clarity about what you're doing. And that makes it a lot easier to kind of structure your process and stuff like that, as far as what you're taking on and what's prioritized. And that is the clear goal, right, is to develop the multiple income streams. And so I shared a post about all of the ones that I'm testing out and that have, been developing and building over the past few years, some more recent than others, and just kind of my progress with all of that. And it is kind of putting a lot of things on my plate right now, but because I handle most of it just myself, I don't outsource really anything. So, yeah, but I think having that clarity about what you're doing is the first step.
So do you have like any systems in place? I mean, I know you said finding clarity, but do you use like do you write things down? Do you have a calendar? Like what do you do to stay organized?
So initially, I was definitely a sticky note person, and I would take those sticky notes and I would have like a planner, a physical planner that I would write stuff down in and then kind of transfer it over week by week to um have because well I don't know if you'll understand this, but after you have a child, the your memory is just not as good as it was before. And that is one thing that after having my son, the my ability to retain like my to-do list in my head definitely went out the window. So I initially had to start writing everything down just to stay on top of it. And that's kind of how I did it at first. And I had a ton of sticky notes. Even when I launched my business, I was writing down each order on a sticky note. And then as it was completed, I put the sticky note in a folder that it was done. And that was kind of my process. And then I got a website and that helped me organize my orders. So I used, the website to as a system to automate tracking all of that stuff, which I would highly recommend for anyone selling a product, obviously to have a website. And then now I use a dry erase calendar that I update every month for kind of like the high level overview of stuff like bills that need to be paid, just our family things that we have going on, and when my husband's in the office and when I have, calls like this, and just so that we're not like overlapping on anything as far as our schedules go. And then as far as myself, like I have a weekly planning sheet that I write everything down on that I'm working on, but I've kind of outgrown that recently with taking on more marketing clients. And so I'm looking into more tech systems. I've gotten on Google Calendar, but haven't quite mastered that system yet. And or integrated it, I guess, fully is what I should say. So I'm kind of looking at other options as far as how to keep all the projects organized and prioritized. So I'm looking into stuff like that. So if people have suggestions on what they use for project management on their tech, like on the computer or on their phone, I would love to hear what they are.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing is kind of trying to find something that really works for you. Like for me, same thing. I'm still trying to figure out which calendar apps or which calendar products work best for me. I never was really that into like writing things down. Like you're talking, for me, it was always I could organize things in my head. But definitely when you have a family, yeah, it starts changing things and trying to coordinate between your spouse or and having to organize your children's things in there like activities. But like for me, I think the best thing that works is really being on a routine or schedule. So like for
Yeah.
me, yeah, I wake up at the same time pretty much every day. I kind of, go through the same process, turn on the coffee, get ready to work out. But for me, that's what works best, is having like a schedule. Do you see that helping in your daily life, as having like a routine?
It would help if I had one. Definitely don't. um, w- Kind of operate by chaos over here. And that's kind of the thing about having some of my income streams are, I might get an order or I might get booked for something that I need to show up for. And so then that kind of interrupts any sort of schedule or routine that I could have. And so I have to be really flexible on my schedule. And I think that the closest thing I could say is that I do try to time block. So I try to have, morning set aside for the things with my son that need to be prioritized. And then in the middle of the mid morning to early afternoon, I try to do all of my work. And then I don't hit my work again until evening once my husband is done with his job. So once he gets off work, then he can kind of take over with my son in the evening. And then I kind of hit more, I would say, more mentally taxing tasks in the evening that I have to have like a full focus for. So we kind of time block like that, and not necessarily in a routine, but I guess that's the same flow most of the days. But sometimes like on the weekends, like we may have something planned to work on the house, but then I might get booked and need to leave and do other things mid-afternoon on the weekend. So lots of flexibility has to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing I'm figuring out with managing short-term rental product properties right now, is like the guests don't know my my schedule or
Right.
routine. So that's like the hardest thing, is trying to, they message me out of just random times, like, oh, I want to check in now, or I can't find the keys, or I can't figure this out. So that's been the biggest struggle for me as far as managing short-term rentals, is my schedule. It's good for, it works for me, but the guests don't know this at all. And I think that's the hardest thing with time management, is that, you know, it's a little bit easy for you to get your schedule together, but when you have to incorporate other people, and that's the
Hmm.
hardest thing. I don't know. What kind of like, do you use Apple products? Like for me, I think that's why I like. I'm not trying to promote, Apple product, but it makes an easy way to get everything linked between like your phone and your iPad, or your computer, and I think that's super helpful also.
Yeah, I do use Apple products, and I actually was in the market for a new laptop recently, like within the last couple months, and I had used PCs up until now, and I that was the deciding factor, was how well I could integrate, because I'm doing so much on my phone with social media stuff, and Apple just has that seamlessness to it, and so I plunged and did the MacBook this time, which I knew was going to come with like a little frustrating learning curve when you're used to PCs, and I don't regret it at all. Like within a few days, I was just like, okay, this is well worth every penny I spent on it, because it truly has the efficiency to it that saves me so much time. So yeah, that, and I'm kind of the same way with Google. Like all of like we have the Google Home, and I use the Google Calendar now, and been trying to like set up where I can say, or like tell my Google Home to add something to the grocery list, because like that's one of the things that's hard for me to stay on top of, is making sure that I know what to get at the grocery store, because I'm not putting a lot of time into that right now. And so, yeah, that the same way with Google, with my Gmail and our Google calendars, and our, we have an email set up for like the rental house. Whenever we get repair requests, that it comes, on there, and I can schedule it on the Google calendar as well. So yeah, Google and Apple, I mean, they're kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Like I was always kind of like, I don't know if I want to buy an iPhone, and then it really, like you said, it just simplifies everything. It's super user friendly, and it's the fun. That's why like my parents are old. but that's why like for them, like the Apple products is like just the easiest for them to
Mhm.
learn and use. So it's super user friendly. Talking about time management, I know there's like, using calendar, sticky notes. Um, but is there like maybe like a mindset that you need that really helps with time man? Is it the way like people you look at time, maybe like how people see it? Like some people maybe look at time as something that they have a limited amount of, like they're trying to maximize how much time they have. And there's others that maybe see time as like just this relaxing enjoyment. So it's kind of your perception of what time is. Do you see that as a way of kind of maybe helping you with time management, the way you look at it?
I well, hmm. I definitely get caught in the like I don't have enough time to do this that headspace sometimes, and I don't know where I picked it up from someone at some point during my psychology journey. Um that like to kind of replace that with the mantra of like I have enough time to do it all. And I think as an entrepreneur, like with trying to pursue so many different things, it feels like I won't have a chance um to try and do them all in my lifetime, I guess, or to get it all accomplished. And replacing that with I do have enough time to get it all done is has been helpful. I would say my biggest struggle with the mindset probably was when my son was really young, like but from the time he was born to about 3 or 4 years old. And I remember feeling the frustration of not being able to accomplish anything during that like phase of life. And I think for a lot of new moms, like it gets a little bit nauseating to hear people say that you can be a new mom and you can, still pursue all this stuff and have like this work-life balance and it's just such a struggle. Um, and the time management in that phase, like you're just so on demand that I would just, my sympathy goes out to people in that phase who are feeling the frustration of like trying to do something as well as navigate like early childhood. And it's just that, I mean, I just don't even have any words for that. Like I just feel for that. And, um, don't let it eat you up because that phase doesn't last forever. But yeah, but like now I would say I do try to tell myself like I have enough time to get it all done. And one of the like exercises I've done is to write down all of the things that I want to do in life. And it's like, it says to title your list, like 100 things that I want to do in my life, and then like start trying to hit 100. And like, once you start writing it out, you're going to see that you probably only have like 20 and it's pretty manageable. But then like when you're in your head about it, those 20 things like cycling feel really overwhelming and like they're not accomplishable. But when you do write it out, then it's kind of like, oh, I actually do have enough time in my life to hit on all of these things. Like obviously not tomorrow's not guaranteed, but ideally you can touch on all of the things that you'd like to do.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like sometimes you get caught up in the big picture of things. And if, like you're saying, if you kind of break it down into smaller components, it makes it way more manageable. And you kind of check mark things as you get through it, like little things, little accomplishments, and it makes it a lot easier to get things done instead of looking at this whole big thing that's sitting over, weighing on you that you have to get done. But I think that's super helpful. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I think everyone, the biggest keys to take away is kind of like, breaking things down into smaller components, getting organized and just feel like kind of there's other people out there that are struggling, trying to get time management and figure out how to accomplish all these things, and realize that, you just gotta find these groups of people that you can get around and throw things at them and kind of like, pick their brains and see what they're doing. Like you said, like you were always, you're a PC person and you wanted to use this and you're against switching over. And if you talk to other people earlier, they would have probably told you, you got to get over to these Apple products because it just streamlines everything. And sometimes we put our personal feelings in front, and it kind of makes us hard to make these decisions. But yeah, I
So
think
I
time.
have another question then for you. When you do feel like you hit retirement, right? And you're not at the fire department anymore, how do you think you will manage your time in that phase of life?
Um, so it's not, I'm not gonna retire. I think that's the thing, right? A lot of people think about retirement like a certain age, and they're done working and now they're just gonna sit at home all day and just read the newspaper and drink coffee. But I think the way I'm looking at it is it's just a new chapter for me, but it's just gonna free up time where I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. But I don't think my routine is actually going to change that much. I think I'm still going to be waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, getting my coffee ready, doing my workout. Cause I like working out first thing in the morning. And that
Yeah.
way I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. Cause I'm the, I'm the kind of person, like if I miss that workout, it just eats at me the rest of the day. Like it bothers me. Like, now when am I going to fit it in? When am I going to do it? So for me, it's like I just try to get it in, and then now the rest of the day I don't have to think about when I'm going to squeeze in this workout. So retirement for me is more just I'm going to be allowed to use my time how I want to do it. And that's kind of like you're saying, getting systems in place so that things can be um, not necessarily hands off or hands free, but it's
Right.
to where I can do this on a trip where I can be traveling and I can get a lot of these things done. So I'm trying to get all these systems in place now so that when I'm, retired, things can kind of just run on their own in a sense, or really do everything from my phone. Like you're saying, you do so much
Yeah.
work from your phone. And that's why I think it's super helpful having these products that kind of streamline everything to where, like, yeah, I think I could get pretty much everything done with my phone if I really needed to. I mean, sometimes it's better to see things on the bigger
Yeah.
screen. But if it came down to it, I could probably get it done on my phone. But yeah, I think I think that's the thing. People look at retirement at this age, and for me, it's just a new chapter, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're saying about the phone, I feel like any systems that I've looked into, it's very important to me that they are going to have an app, because that really is helpful. And thinking about being able to work on the go, and that having the app is just kind of crucial. So anything that's just been desktop only, I've kind of been hesitant to even consider at this point, but it takes so much work to set up the systems. And this process of like kind of initially getting all of your stuff into like a process that I would say not necessarily is automated, but that I could say that anyone could come in and I could say, this is how you do it. And they could do it for me, kind of thing. Like that would be ideal. I think, is to have some sort of system in place where if I needed to, I could call someone and say, log into this account, click on these buttons, and have someone that could step in and do that role if I wanted to step away.
Yeah, that's super important. I like that. And I like the app thing. And I forgot to mention that because we kind of talked about that and you didn't we were talking about this property management software that we use. And I was saying, yeah, I don't like it because they don't have an app. And every time I get a message, I gotta go in and log in and see what the message said. And you didn't quite understand, right, what I was talking about because you like you said, you're more on your computer all the time. So seeing the
Yeah.
message, yeah, so
Or on my, like, I'm logged into it on my iPad. So I think I just have it pulled up on there, and I'm
oh
like never logged out, kind of thing. So that one's easier for me to get in there to see the messages. Um but yeah, an app would still be better,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, the same. Yeah, I like when it has an app. It just makes so much things so much easier. So now, final thing, like, when you are doing well, when you're, getting things accomplished, and do you ever like, is there like a reward? Do you ever like reward yourself? Like, oh, I mean, I'm doing a good job. I've accomplished all these. I'm staying on task. And is there anything that you do like, kind of yeah, I've been following my calendar this whole month, and I accomplished something good. I mean, do you ever reward yourself with anything?
Um, no. I don't think I do. Usually if I'm treating myself, it's going to be like a meal out. And that is usually like it's kind of almost like the natural reward because I've made time to actually be able to get out and go do that and kind of unplug for a little bit. And that I, can truly be present during that time. I'm not feeling like I'm working while I'm dining out. Like that's because we don't do that very often. Like that is kind of something that is the treat, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's those small things that, you can get away, take time to yourself. And I think that's super important because it becomes a grind after a while. I'm sure like,
Yeah.
doing it day in, day out. And, even all these side incomes you're trying to work on, it gets overwhelming at times. And you got to remember to reward yourself and remember the end goal and kind of take time for yourself. But
What's your
yeah,
reward?
my reward is, for me, it used to be probably buying like a new piece of gym equipment or
Yeah.
or something, but that it has gone, away right now because I realized that I don't need 10 different equipment or pieces of equipment that do the same thing. So now it's kind of I have to realize that that is money that could be used in better places. I have to think of a new reward, maybe, and a different way to treat myself. But yeah, I have a lot of equipment that do the same thing but are maybe like a different color or something. Like
Oh,
it's just like, yeah, it was a problem before. So we'll leave that for another topic later on.
yeah. Maybe we should dig into that.
Yeah, yeah. I can show you like 10 different bars that pretty much are the same, but they might have like one little different design on it or something. Every day there's a different bar maybe to use.
Yeah, the Monday bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
All
I
right.
mean, but if you enjoy it, it's still
Yeah,
a treat.
I do. That's kind of my stress relief, and I think we kind of touched on it before too. Like like people talk about getting something accomplished early in the morning or first thing when you wake up. People talk about like making your bed or doing
Mhm.
something, but you set the tone for the day, and that's kind of I think where I got this whole working out early, working out first thing in the morning is kind of it just sets the tone for the rest of my day. And I hate to say it, if I miss it, I'm usually in a bad mood or I'm kind of short with people. So it's good for me to just get it done, and it just kind of sets the tone for me.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, thank you for coming on again. These are always fun, and we'll do it again next week. But thanks, Sierra.
Yeah, thanks for having me.